Guys, today we're going to talk about the two perspective game, just getting the basic game board, the checkerboard pattern kind of drawn out. You don't have to do a checkerboard. You can modify what your game looks like later. But just initially, I would like you to make the checkerboard in pattern so that you have that as an option if you want it. So you're going to need a 12 by 18 inch sheet of paper. If you are, I don't think I have anybody in my art too that is working virtually, but if you are, you could tape a couple of pieces of printer paper together and get something similar. It might not be quite the same, but you could get something similar. Okay, so I'm going to have my 12 by 18 inch sheet of paper, and I'm going to need a ruler and a pencil and maybe a big eraser if you have one. If you don't have one, that's obviously okay. I will tell you that this is much easier with the 18-inch rulers, and normally I do this with 18-inch rulers, but since everyone has to have their own right now, we're going to have to kind of just use the 12-inch ones and see how it goes. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your ruler on the left side of the paper, and it's actually going to be on the table. And I know I have it's hard to see with the document camera, but I wanted to zoom out just so that you could get a view on what the paper looked like. So you're going to put it right next to the paper. You're going to align it at the top, and you're going to make a dot against the edge of the page at 3 inches. So you're going to find that 3-inch point. You're going to make a dot against the edge of the page on the left side of the paper. All right, you're going to scoot your ruler across the paper all the way to the other side. So I just scooted it across the paper, put my ruler at the top, put it on the paper, and then I'm going to make a mark at the 3-inch. I'm going to make a dot against the edge of the paper. So that's very important that you understand it has to be at 3 inches against the edge of the paper. Okay, edge of the paper is very, very important. Not like right here, but actually touching the edge. Okay, so now I have my 2 points, and those are going to be my vanishing points. And I'll see if I can, here we go, I can tilt it a little bit. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to put it, and I'm going to line it with the left side of the paper here. And it's on the table, and I'm going to make a mark at 9 inches. I'm going to put a dot, same kind of way. I'm going to make a dot against the bottom at 9 inches. Okay, so you can see it's hard to see, but it's 9 inches right here. Okay, pause the video at any time that you need a break. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit here. And this is that bottom dot that I just made. So I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to put it on that dot at the 2-inch mark. So what I mean by that is I take the ruler and I find 2 inches, and I line up 2 inches with the edge of the paper right here, just like this. Then I'm going to take and put like a dot at the very top where it would be like 0. And then I'm going to connect those 2 dots together. So I put a dot where it'd be 0, and I connected them together. Okay, again, replay video if you need help. All right, now what I'm going to do is I am going to zoom out as best as I can. And I'm going to see if this is going to be long enough. It's going to be almost long enough. It's kind of hard. I almost need like a ruler extender here. Okay. What we can do is if you are at school, we can use the 18-inch rulers and then just sanitize them if possible. So if you haven't, if we have 18-inch rulers, you can use them, but you have to give them back to me. If you're at home and all you have is the 12-inch, we'll just kind of make it work. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take my ruler and line up this dot here and this dot here. So it's going to be close. I'm trying to angle it towards that dot. I'm going to draw a line. And then what I'll do is I'll just move my ruler down, and I got the angle correct. So it looks good. Okay, then I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to put my ruler on the left dot or vanishing point, and this one actually touches. So I can actually connect these 2 together. It's going to look like this kind of weird V thing. Okay, same thing on this side. I'll connect the top. I'm going to connect the top one together first because those actually reach. Okay, and then I messed up there because usually you always pull a pencil, not push it, but it's hard to do it on this document camera. So then I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to try to angle it towards this dot down here as best as I can. Draw a line. All right, and I'm going to turn it correctly so you guys can kind of see it. So it's going to look like this when you are done. After you are done with this step, you are ready to put the little dots on the paper. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of turn the paper a little bit so I can put my ruler on just like this. Okay, so it's going to go right below that line. So my paper was like this. I mean, I guess you could do it this way. I think it's easier to turn your paper to look at your ruler a little bit. So I'm going to make sure that ruler, I'm going to move my document camera down. My ruler is aligned with this dot here. The corner of the 0 is like the corner of the dot. All right, I'm going to make a mark every 1.5 inches. So just trust me. So the first mark is going to be made at 1.5, and I'm going to put a dot. So 1.5 is this long line in between 1 and 2. If you don't measure correctly, it's not going to work. So this long line between 1 and 2. So if I do another 1.5 inches, it's going to be at 3. So I put a dot on the line. So the dots are going. I'm going to move this down for a minute so you can see the dots are going on the line. Okay, so every 1.5 inches. So I'm adding 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3. 3 plus 1.5 is 4.5. So far I have made my mark at 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6, 7.5. Long line in between 7 and 8, 9. And last but not least, 10.5. So just to recap, 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6, 7.5, 9, 10.5. Stop the video and replay it if you need help. Okay, so that's the right side. Let's go ahead and let's turn it like this, almost like upside down. And we're going to put the ruler on this kind of left side of the paper. And I'm going to put my ruler right below that line, but notice it's aligned right here. So get your ruler like this, make sure it's correct. Okay, I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to make a mark every 1.5 inches. So 1.5, I'm putting a dot. 3, 4.5, 6, 7.5, 9, and 10.5. Okay, so again, that's 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6, 7.5, 9, and 10.5. When I'm done, it should look something like this. On the next video, I will show you how to connect these together to make the checkerboard and kind of what the requirements are.